The Mazda 3 in its current form has been out since around 2019 with small updates along the way. And we got some small updates for 2024 we'll go over in this video. But I want to do a night review of the Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback. This is a Premium Plus. I've driven this car and reviewed this car a handful of times, including the sedan over the past few years. But I've never driven them, or should I say, I've never reviewed them at night. And I think this is where Mazda really shows that extra attention to detail, that extra step up to be more of like a premium brand, because this thing is very, very, very impressive at night with its lighting, and just its overall design is absolutely stunning. All right, so the Premium Plus Turbo gets this front air dam here on this hatchback. Now, if you want to see my sedan driving impressions, go ahead and check that out for 2024. These have adaptive front lighting, and I'll show that more when we start driving, but when you turn the steering wheel, the lights will move. The turn indicators have the heartbeat throb, not only on the front lights, but they have them on the rear lights and even the side mirrors. I was in a $108,000 Jeep this week that didn't have side mirror turn indicators. Not only does this car have it, but they give it with style. Now, the lights here, super clear, super crisp, very, very impressive. And let's go ahead and look at these striations here on the side. Even the detail on the side is pretty upscale and pretty impressive. We have these 18-inch wheels here that look really, really solid on the Turbo Premium Plus. It would have been maybe nice to have the chrome around the windows blacked out a little bit, but it's just the right amount where it doesn't throw me off. This has a sunroof. It does not have a panel roof. That's maybe one thing as I'm walking around that I would want to add to this car to make it maybe a true luxury player. All right, as we come to the back, Mazda doesn't skimp out here. Give this car really nice rear lights, very premium. It looks pretty much like no other car in my opinion. You might be able to say, hey, those are kind of like Skyline lights a little bit, or GTR lights. But I think it looks very unique. The back end Mazda 3 kind of has this egg shape, and it's kind of goofy looking, especially if you don't get it in the Premium Plus with this extra wing on top. I like the dual exhaust. A black glossy bumper on the rear looks nice, but if you get it without this rear wing, I think the hatchback kind of looks a little too eggish to me. But the way it is in this trim, I think it looks really, really nice, very premium. Let's go ahead and lift this up. All-wheel drive, of course. I didn't even talk about the powertrain. We'll get into that. Really deep cargo area. Do we have a spare tire? The answer is yes. And of course we have that Bose sound system subwoofer in between. And of course you can fold down those rear seats. Interestingly, I can lock the car from back here, but it's not automatic liftgate, so I just lock it and walk away after slamming it. All right, the badge is back here, Skyactiv G Turbo. We have the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque if you're putting that good 93 octane on there. If you're putting regular octane, it drops down to around 227 horsepower and around 310 pound-feet of torque. Mated to the 6-speed automatic, no 6-speed manual, unless you want to get the naturally aspirated engine and the hatchback. So you can still get the manual and the Mazda 3, but it's hatchback, and I think it's the preferred trim. I'll fact check myself. There's, Mazda, and they have lots of trim levels. So, and it's only in front wheel drive with the manual, naturally aspirated 6-speed. And I've never driven it. Mazda hasn't sent those out. Gonna unlock the door. Mazda has never sent them out as a press car, so maybe I'll try to reach out to them, see if they can hook me up with a local dealer. If the local dealer ever gets that 6-speed manual, that would be fantastic. All right, well, this is going to be a tight fit back here, but the premium materials on the door is quite impressive. Very subtle illumination, some nice stitching here. I got to really slink down at 6'1" to get my head in here, but actually I have decent headroom. It's more than I was expecting. Really soft backs to the seats. So even though I don't have the most leg room in here, my knees can push into the back of the seat here, which is soft leather, Napa leather in here. I don't have rear vents. That's kind of a miss. That would make this vehicle much more premium. And I bet in other markets, the Mazda 3 can come with the rear vents. I would not be surprised. Folding this down, we have armrest, but there's no special lighting back here. I mean, there's a light up here, so when I open the door, that comes on, but honestly, it's pretty basic experience back here. I don't even have chargers, all right? So no vents, no chargers. Everything else is a luxury back here. Then you also have this huge drivetrain hump for the propeller shaft to go to the rear differential to power the rear wheels. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the front seat. Getting out of this seat was actually easier to get out of than the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon final edition that was in this week. Getting in is a little bit easier on the Jeep. Anyways, on the materials on the door and the front are fantastic. We got the nice aluminum Bose grill, speaker grill, looks really nice. And I think Mazda's done a fantastic job with the subtlety of the illumination. If you look, everything is just super crisp with the illumination. It's very simple, and it reminds me of the exterior lighting. Everything in this car is pretty subdued. It's kind of like classic minimal luxury. And we have this new 12-inch screen, which is optional for 2024. And we also have some USB-Cs in here, which are standard for 2024. I like how they're illuminated. Again, Mazda, good attention to detail. We have a felt lined bottom here at the bottom of that storage compartment. Rotary dial, it's pretty much worthless for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. I believe I can use this as a touchscreen. Yep, there you go. And to use this screen as a touchscreen is new for most Mazda vehicles because look how far this is back. And the only way I'd be using the touchscreen is really for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Otherwise, I'm using the rotary dial for the car's base software. You guys will get a good look at this. I'll put a camera up so you can see us do some acceleration this early morning. It's about 5 a.m. and Mazda, I'm okay if you never change this. Now, they eventually will. We have this digital screen in the middle, which looks analog, but it is digital. It looks analog because there is a physical ring around the actual speedometer, and then you can customize the information on that screen, right? See, so anyways, fuel economy is not the strength of the Mazda 3 Turbo. With this all-wheel drive, I would say around 20 miles per gallon in town. We do have 360 camera on this Premium Plus. Let's go ahead and focus on that. And we also have memory seats down here. Here's a 360 camera. It looks pretty clear at night, looks good to me. Mazda steering wheels are always very high quality. Stitching is typically second to none. Even compared to true luxury brands, Mazda's fit and finish, their materials are pretty fantastic in here. I have a head-up display. I don't have it enabled for the video, but there is a head-up display available on this car. Mazda knows how to do climate control. Look how small and simple this setup is. Fan control, temperature control, and then fan direction. Heated seats, no ventilated seats. That would have been fantastic. And there's a button here. I'm sure for other markets, you can get a ventilated seat. I do have a heated steering wheel. All right. Materials on the dash are always very impressive on a Mazda, so there's no exception here. So I'm ready to start driving the fun hot hatch premium Mazda 3. About 6.5 seconds, 0 to 60. I'm almost positive we have standard octane in here, which is going to get us around 228 horsepower or so. Again, if you put 93 in here, you're going to be getting better fuel economy, probably, but also better torque and better acceleration and better top end power with 250 horsepower. That's one of the things about this this engine is that for enthusiasts, it's hit or miss, because I have cool paddle shifters that row through this amazing 6-speed auto, but after about 5,200, 5,300 RPM, it starts losing steam, and then the automatic typically will shift around 5,500 RPM. All right, so if you want a high revving, rev to the moon, exciting engine, that's like a young man in his 20s revving through the rev range. This engine is more like a man in his 40s and 50s that's absolutely stacked. He's been going to the gym, he eats right, he takes care of himself, but he doesn't have that frantic, crazy energy. All his power is down low. You know, he doesn't skip leg day. He's able to deliver that power to not only his arms and his legs, right? Because it's an all-wheel drive here. So he's a very well-rounded man that has a lot of power down low. That's what this engine is. That's kind of how the Mazda 3 feels. So it's definitely not a juvenile's car. I mean, especially when it costs nearly $40,000. This one around $38,000. Mazda 3 Turbo has a little bit of that young little racer boy styling with the front air dam and maybe the rear wing on here, but to me it never comes off poserish. It always looks very, very nice from the outside. I can go on a rant about how nice Mazdas look all throughout their lineup. Oh yeah. Yes. It sounds good. It's super smooth. Super smooth, this 2.5 liter. It reminds me of a V8. I've always said that about this engine. It reminds me of an old school V8. Doesn't sound as good as a V8. Maybe doesn't rev as nicely as a naturally aspirated V8, but it's seemingly as smooth as a V8. You might call me crazy, but drive a Mazda 3 Turbo and you'll know it's smooth as hell. The 6-speed automatic in here, it shifts where I want it to shift. Not always as fast, but pedal down and I'm gone. Like, and I have all that torque to make up for maybe a lack of gears. It is absolutely fantastic, this automatic transmission. On paper, it looks old, it's antiquated. It's got 6 speeds instead of a fancier 8 or 9 or 10-speed automatic. Yes, that would give us, in theory, better acceleration. In theory, it would give us better fuel economy, which you guys can see. It's not good here right now because I've been throttling this vehicle, but just throwing around the turns. Lots of grip, and we're off to the races. Oh man. I'm still in sport mode, I think, so I can take it out of sport mode. All right, the adaptive front lighting here, it's easier to tell in a neighborhood, but it's almost like the steering wheel is attached to flashlights, and those flashlights go where you want it to go. So it's pretty cool technology. It's really well done here on the Mazda. Once you get used to it, it might throw people off when they first see it for the first time. But the high beams on here, well, we have some traffic. I don't want to blind the guy in front of us, but I'm going to do it anyways. High beams are really good. I see about 20 feet up into the air on the trees around me, so the uniformity and the brightness with the low beams is really solid as well. So Mazda, well done with the lights. Not only they look incredible and premium from the outside, these lights are absolutely worthy of luxury quality lights and actual functionality. Comfort here, well, it is firm. As I hit that sewer cap, I'll hit this another one. It's firm. It does, if you hit bumps, you're gonna shake the car. I still have PTSD from hitting a pothole in Omaha with these 18-inch wheels in a Mazda 3. I don't know how I didn't blow the tire or crack the rim, but I didn't, praise God. But yeah, when I hit that pothole, I thought the vehicle was broken. So luckily you're in Florida. These 18-inch wheels, they just help the car look cool and look sporty because our roads are so good. It is firm, yes, we do have some imperfections in the road and it is a bit firm, but I would say if you live in really crappy climates, maybe think twice about getting 18-inch wheels on a Mazda 3, all right? Because there's just more comfort to be had with smaller wheels or with different products. But the seat comfort's fantastic in here. Where my elbows rest, I'm gonna go through this, there's no one at that light. What? Why would it turn yellow? The armrest, Mazda has some sort of fetish for having comfortable elbows. I don't know if that's the right word, but my elbows in Mazdas, on the armrest on the door and the armrest in the center, it's just like, it's like memory foam gel pad situation. And it's great. It's super fantastic. and I don't have bruised or uncomfortable elbows, and I can move my arms however I want them. I have very pokey elbows naturally, and most people might not have the same attention to elbow comfort in cars as I do, but Mazda's got it. Something that annoys me and during the day but not at the night is all this glossy black around the shifter. Mazda kind of has gotten away from that, if I remember right, on the CX-90 and the CX-70. So yeah, that's something Mazda could improve upon, but at night it does not bother me. Like, this is such a calming experience, and I don't have any flashy ambient lights going on. I think the CX-90 might, and some of the more premium products in the Mazda lineup, even though this is very premium, it doesn't have, like, what the heck, was that a Honda Clarity? That Honda Clarity had ridiculous looking lights on the outside, Tronish looking lights. This thing, super subtle, very exquisite design on the outside as well as the inside, at night, during the day. And I'm just going to go off on a tangent now. Mazda designs. This Mazda 3 Turbo has been out since 2019, so about 5 years now, and it still looks amazing. Even the hatchback, now I said it does get a bit eggy if you don't have the right equipment on the Mazda 3 hatchback, but it's very unique looking. The lines are super smooth, all the materials on it, the fitment, it's just very premium looking. And I would take this if I needed an all-wheel drive automatic premium hatchback. There's not a lot of options out there. So Mazda 3 as well as the Mazda 3 sedan, they just are such good cars for the money, even though they creep into premium pricing. If we look at Acura, the Integra Type S is way above this, right? That's a $50,000 car. It's about 12, 14 grand more expensive than this if you can get an MSRP. So that's different. But if you look at the A-Spec Tech package, I think is what it is, or A-Spec Advance with the 6-speed manual, it's front wheel drive only. I have a head-up display in here. I think you also, yeah, you do have a head-up display as well in the Acura, but it's front wheel drive. You can't get all-wheel drive on the Acura. And if you want automatic on the Acura, you have to deal with their awful, and it's not a bad CVT, but it's awful for a driving experience. Wow, that was great lighting. Hopefully the camera picked up that lightning. The 6-speed auto in here is chef's kiss. I don't want anything more, all right? Now, the Acura is gonna get about 40 miles per gallon if you baby it. This thing, if you baby it, maybe the low to mid 20s. So yes, that is where something that the Acura will win. Acura will win with more rear leg room, maybe a little bit more cargo room, maybe it feels a little bit more fun to drive as you sling it into the turns, but I don't have many turns here in Florida, so that's kind of out the window for me. And styling between the two of them, flip a coin. I think this looks just as good as the Integra, and some of you guys might think it looks better, all right? So with this new 12-inch screen, new USBs, I don't know what else they did. I think they have a carbon edition turbo with the zircon sand that is priced below this. I'm not a big fan of the zircon sand, but I'm curious what it would look like on a Mazda 3. Just pedal down and it just goes, man. You're not waiting. And it's just that torque is so satisfying. Yep, love the Mazda 3. Love Mazda in general. Gosh, I have to be a shill right now. I'm not a shill, but it sounds like it because Mazda products are just so unique. The small Japanese company, and this one is made in Japan, by the way, the Mazda 3 hatchback turbo, made in Japan. Some Mazda 3s are made in Mexico as well as the CX-30. But anyways, most of their vehicles are made in Japan. So they ship them over to the United States. The build quality is luxury, sometimes better than other luxury brands. That costs a lot more than this. Materials in here are equal, if not better, than some of the luxury competitors. The comfort in here is fantastic, as I already mentioned. Yeah, reliability is going to be a strong suit for Mazda too. They just offer so much for the money, but they don't have that luxury brand. They're almost like becoming a stealth wealth luxury brand. All right, they don't have the most prestige around the Mazda name because in the 80s and 90s, you know, in the 2000s, they offered more affordable cars. They've always been fun to drive, but now they're fun to drive And if you want higher trim packages, they are definitely going to be rivaling, if not outpacing, some of the luxury cars for price to performance and price to luxury. One thing I will say is that Mazda could really improve upon the brake feel here, the linearity of the brakes. This thing, oh man, I'm not a big fan of how this thing brakes. It's something Acura's definitely going to have a huge advantage on, is the brake feel. I see this guy on his bike. I don't want to go. Go. Yep. Just throw this through the turn. And you just push into the pedal, and it doesn't need to go find another gear because it has all the torque you could want for city driving. It's just so good, so satisfying. Mazda. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do with the Mazda 3 going forward. It's getting a little long in the tooth. Mazda 6 is out of our market. And will Mazda just replace, or they could cancel it? I could see them canceling it for just having a CX-30. That thing sells like hotcakes. I hope they don't, because Mazda can't just become a crossover brand. Yes, they would be one of the more fun to drive crossover brands, but like outside of the Miata, you're just going to be a crossover brand. That is unacceptable. So they got to have the Mazda 3. The Mazda 3 is important for other markets. All right, it's not the most important vehicle here in their United States market. It's actually, besides the Miata, it's probably their worst selling vehicle. But it provides so much character, and it fills out their lineup quite nicely to have a sedan. I'd like to see Mazda offer a hybrid Mazda 3. That's fun to drive. Find some way to hybridize this car. Give me 35 miles to the gallon with this automatic transmission, and maybe the naturally aspirated 2.5 liter with and give us around 230 horsepower, and give us 40 miles per gallon. Maybe that's all I can think of that I could really ask for. Mazda could improve upon the Mazda 3 other than the brake feel. I mean, there's small nitpicks like, oh, you know, it should have a panel roof, or maybe clean up the glossy blacks. It's just small nitpicks like that. But honestly, the Mazda 3 is it's a fantastic car, and I think anyone who owns one is going to have a really, really great ownership experience during the day driving it, as well as driving it at night, as I've been driving it with the adaptive front lights. I'm going to turn here so you guys can see it swivel maybe a little bit more as it curved. It's just really cool. The sun's starting to come up here. But yeah, check out those lights, man. That is so... They swivel so much. There are other cars out there, if I think of Toyota and their adaptive front lighting system, their lights like don't have the same articulation as these adaptive front lights do. It's pretty insane. All right, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this dual camera setup where I have a little bit on the tachometer and speedometer. Let me know if you enjoy my night reviews. I really enjoy night reviews, especially in cars that are fun to drive. There's less traffic on the roads. I can really stretch the legs of these cars without having to worry about bad drivers, or too many drivers, or too many bad drivers. So yes, thank you, Mazda. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, and I'll catch you in the next one.